Yeah. Uh, Good evening, everybody. So we'll start the discussion today, and this is sixth week of class content. So basically, we will be discussing various topics that were covered in syllabus of week 6 for this course. Okay, so uh, let me just check one thing. Yeah. Okay, so if you remember, in the sixth week, uh, various types of loan repayment schedules about some other things also, but more or less it was around repayment of loans, and different types of loans, and what is the effect of various parameters on the repayment schedule that you have. Okay, so we'll discuss those things, and I think there is one more day for week 6 assignment to be submitted, so uh, that time is also there. So we'll try to take some similar questions so that it will be helpful for you for your assignments. Okay, so start the discussion. So and then there were total 5 classes, and first was about the types of loans. So it had multiple examples, including single payment loan where you pay off your interest plus principal in a single amount at the end of the maturity. And then there are something called as add-on interest loans. So where you basically this thing. Oh, before that there is something called as non-installment debt and installment debt. Payment is like open-ended debt. So here basically the single payment debt where full balance is paid at the end of maturity mostly. And then you have installment debt. So this is also called as closed-ended debt. And here you pay the debt in terms of equal repayments. Mostly equal. You can have uh, gradually increasing or decreasing also. Okay, so that is also part of it. But usually we have equal payments at regular intervals and mostly monthly. So that is we call EMIs, right? So one classification is there. So you should remember these things because uh, they can ask you one-liners. Okay, so one classification of debts is non-installment debt. One second. Non-installment debt, which is also called as open-ended debt. Okay, and one of the example could be single payment. So basically, you pay everything, including your principal and interest at the end of maturity. Usually, it is at the end of maturity. I mean, you can have some other agreed upon time, but typically speaking, it is at the end of maturity. Maturity means for how much duration you initially agreed upon for the loan. Okay. And then the other counterpart is installment debt, which is also called as closed ended debt. Here you have basically debt is paid off in a series of equal payment. Mostly it is equal payments. As I said, there could be some special case where you have variable amount of payments, but usually it is equal payments, okay, at regular intervals. Okay, so there could be many examples for such, and we had seen something called as add-on interest loan or discounted loan. So all the these things, all other categories rather than the single payment will come under this. Okay, even mortgages that you have, like basically house loan and similarly car loan, etc. So all those things where you pay EMI, that is under the category of installment debt or closed-ended debt. Okay, so this could be one type of question that can be asked is, but you should remember what is open and closed. Okay, so open means single payment, closed means all other types, mostly all other types. Okay, so that was the first part. One second. Something happened to my screen. Anyway, so the thing is, after that, there was some basic discussion on this importance of credit, etc. But those things I think you should know, because for economic activities you need credits, and credit means basically you need to borrow money by giving some collateral, and that collateral is basically for the extreme case scenario when you are unable to pay. But in general, along with that, you have to give the proof that how will you pay. For example, salary slip or some other source of income that you have, rent, etc. Then also depend that based on that your interest rate, etc. is varied, and that's how the economic activities are fueled. So basically, when you take debt, you pay. You are supposed to give something as a collateral, and one mode of, I mean, the credible mode of source of income by which you will be paying the EMIs, right? Those are the basic requirements. But sometimes what happens, there are periods in the history of any country you can take where these conditions are relaxed, these prerequisites for giving debts are relaxed in the hope of general prosperity of the public, and that may have led to some disasters like 2008 global financial crisis, etc. But those things are quite rare. Okay? And nowadays there are a lot of checks and balances, but I would say it is again possible, because again, many things has to come in place for such event to happen, and it can happen in future. Okay, in India, some of those bank frauds, etc. So somewhere down the line, checks and balances are not followed, and those things happen. But in general speaking, credit is good for the economy. Borrowing is good, so that people basically try to uh, make their lives better. But at the same time, debt is not all that good. Okay, so because the point is, when you take debt, you commit yourself for a certain number of years in the future. So your future income is reduced. Okay, so that is why it is said that like if you are young and just starting your professional career, as long as it is absolutely not critical for you to take home loan or some other types of loans, you should avoid it. First, you should focus on increasing your uh, uh, monthly payments or monthly salaries, etc., by upgrading your professional skills, and then you should later on you should try to go into the debts for various things, various commitments that you have. Okay, and there also you should pay as much as down payment as much as you can at the start only. Then the interest that you pay actually on the loan is quite less as compared to if you don't do any down payment. Many people don't realize this, especially when you buy. See, for big ticket loans, people still consider these things, but small amount loans, especially the things that you buy from Amazon, etc., like iPhones, many people buy those on EMI, and then they don't realize that for 60,000 they end up paying around, you know, as close as 1.5 to 2 times, because you have to pay interest also, right? And since these are small ticket loans, people usually don't mind these things at the start, but when they actually pay, then they realize that they should have thought about it. Okay. Nonetheless, then there was a discussion on the single payment loan, add-on interest loan, discount loans. So single payment loan, as I said, it is basically you pay principal and interest at the end of desired or decided maturity period. At the start, basically two parties decide on those things. Interest could be anything. Okay, in the class, professor had taken the example of simple interest, so that is also fine, but not always. Okay, in many cases, you can have a single payment for compound interest also. So basically, what you do is you borrow money for certain amount, certain duration, and then this thing. Um, where was I? Sorry. Huh. So as I was saying, in the single payment debt, basically you can have both. Okay. In some cases, simple interest is applied. In some cases, compound interest, and that also applies to this add-on and discount loans also. So the add-on loan and the discount loans, the thing is, one common question that is asked from uh, not all of the closed-ended, but let's say, so basically, whenever you postpone, I mean, the payments in equal payments, essentially you end up paying more. Okay, so if you take the interest, I mean, in a loan at let's say 10%, something like that, effectively you, depending on which type of loan you had take, there is something called as effective interest rate. So something which is called as stated interest rate, which is actually mentioned when you take the loan as 10% or something like that. But actually, what you end up paying is more than that interest rate. Okay, because I mean it depends on the type how much more you pay, but usually it is slightly more. Even in the case of mortgages, etc., you end up paying slightly more, and that is we'll see how to do that. But the basic idea is actual interest rate is more or less greater than stated interest rate for installment debts. But for single payment debt, since you pay everything at the end of the maturity, it's same thing, right? So the interest rate that you have interest rate stated at the time of taking loan essentially turns out to be interest rate that you actually end up paying. Okay, so that is also one type of question that is asked. I think it is in your assignment also similar type of question. Okay, whereas in these installment debts, usually you end up paying more. Okay, even if you have something like mortgage loan, the effective interest rate that you end up paying is slightly more than the stated interest rate. Okay, so you should know these things. Interest rate which is stated at the start of the loan typically end up being lesser than the interest rate that you actually end up paying. Okay, so actually you pay more than what you think of at the start of the loan. So that is why it is said that one second, sorry. Yeah, excuse me, I think there is uh, some allergies are there today for myself, and that is fine. Anyway, so yeah, so that is why in like in the common parlance, you should, whenever you are going for some loan which is installment loan, so EMI, mortgage, home loan, vehicle loan, whatever it is, the interest rate that you actually, or the interest that you actually pay, and if you calculate the interest rate based on that, is actually more than the interest rate that you have stated at the starting of the time. Okay, so how those things comes into the picture, we'll see, but keep those things in mind. Okay. Okay, so then there was something based, this add-on loans. Okay. So add-on loans where total interest is calculated upfront based on the original principal or the starting principal. It is not reduced over the period of time. Okay, in mortgage loans, etc., the principal on which interest is calculated is reduced gradually. But if you talk about these add-on loans, add-on interest loans, the interest that you actually pay is calculated upfront. Calculated upfront based on the original principal. Okay, so again, it could be in simple interest, compounded interest, it could be anything. In the class, professor had take the example of compound interest, but not necessary it has to be compound interest. Not necessary it has to be simple interest, it can be compounded also. It doesn't matter. The thing is, you should note down the difference that principal amount considered for interest calculation does not reduce over time. Okay, so that is the main thing. That's why you end up paying more. Okay, in mortgages, etc., your principal also goes down as the time progresses. The interest that is calculated is on the principal amount, which is usually decreasing in the nature with respect to time. But there you end up paying interests first. Okay, so majority of interest is collected upfront, and then your principal amount goes down. Okay, so that is the difference in the mortgages. But in case of add-on interest loans, they don't reduce your principal for calculation of interest. Okay, so whatever initial loan you take, the interest is charged on the whole amount, whatever it is, in simple or uh, compounded, doesn't matter. Okay, so here basically if you have P as your the interest is calculated. If it is simple interest formula, it will be I equal to PRT. Okay, or N if you want to take the same analogy that was used in the class, so it will be N. Or if you are going with the compound interest formula, I will be P into 1 plus R power N, right? So R is your annual interest rate compounded annually for n years, n number of time periods. So if the interest rate is, I mean, we have seen this type of problems, right? So if the interest rate is compounded quarterly, so then your n should be multiplied by 4 and R should be divided by 4. Okay, if R is per interest rate per annum. So all those things we have seen previously, but here the thing is the payoff amount, okay, or the periodic payment or the EMI, payoff amount or the periodic payment or EMI also you can call it in some cases. Professor has used the symbol PYT for this variable, so I am using the same. It doesn't matter as long as you know what it is. It is nothing but P plus I divided by N. Okay, so this will be your monthly amount that you are supposed to pay. Okay, now the question is how do you end up paying more for these type of loans, right? So that is the question now. So we can take one simple example and let's take this thing. Um, 1 second. Mm, I'm looking for some example where you are supposed to calculate effective interest rate for any of these cases. Okay, so maybe we can take this problem. So here the question says Mahesh borrowed 75,000 rupees at 9.5% interest rate. Simple interest, okay, it is not a compound interest, for 5 years. Based on an add-on interest. The quarterly payment amount would be. So you are supposed to find the. So basically, he is not doing annual payments or monthly payments for this loan. He is doing payment annually, quarterly. Sorry. So here your P is 75,000. So 75 into 10 is 3. R is 9.5% per annum, right? So that is 0.095 per annum. But since we are interested in quarterly, so you have to divide by 4, right? So this is per quarter basis. And N will be, since it's 5 years and 1 year has 4 quarters, so N is 20 quarters. Okay, so we have seen this type of problems before also. So what they are asking is what is your quarterly installment, so that we have this formula, right? P plus I by N, and here I in, since it's a simple interest scheme, so it is PRT, so we say divided by N. Okay. So put the values 75 into this 75,000. 1 plus R. R is basically 0.095 by 4 into 20, so 0.095 into 5 divided by N is 20, right? So if you do these calculations, how much it comes, let me just calculate for you. Yeah, so 75,000 into 1 plus 0.095 into 5 divided by 20. So it comes out to be 5,031.25 rupees. Okay, so this will be your what do you say, the quarterly installment, and they can ask you different things. Okay, so let's just 1 second. So now you can do one calculation where you can calculate the total amount that you pay at the end of 20 years. That will be again 5531 into 20, right? So now you can calculate the interest amount you should know, and that you can get from anywhere in these calculations. Yeah. The question is now, can we calculate the effective interest rate of this add-on loan, right? So in this case, you need to calculate because this 9.5 is per annum, right? So basically, you have to calculate in 1 year how much interest did you pay. Okay, 1 second. Actually there is a formula which directly gives you interest rates. Basically, how they calculate is effective interest rate is nothing but total interest paid per year divided by average loan balance. Okay, so it's not like uh, so they consider that on an average half of the principal is hold over the loans of duration, and therefore they divide by t by 2 there, and then you get the formula 2n I divided by p into t plus 1. Okay. But I'm just wondering, can I just simply calculate it? Second. I think professor had done this type of numerical. Let me just check, because I don't want to give you the formula, because there will be a lot of formulae, right? So then there is something called as rule of 78, etc. But just see before that. So in 1 year, how much interest we pay? Actually, I'm confused about this average loan balance that you take for. So yeah, for effective interest rate formulas for this add-on kind of loans, what they do is effective interest rate is nothing but the interest that you pay uh, at the start. I mean, because you are paying basically on the principal at the start, but per year you calculate. Okay, so total interest paid per year divided by the average loan or principal balance. Okay, so at the start it is P, at the end it is 0, so average they take as P by 2. Right? So right, so then if you solve this, you get the formula, which is 2 into uh, let's say K into I divided by P into n plus 1. Okay, what is K and I and all those things? So K basically represents number of payments in a year. Number of payments made in a year. Okay, I represents total interest, not the annual interest. It is total interest that you pay, which is basically TRT in this case. If it is compounded, then the problem it will be different thing. Okay, and n is number of years till maturity. Okay, so if you do that, what do you get? 2 into K. So since we are doing quarterly payments, we are doing 4 payments in 1 year. Total interest that we paid is PRT. Okay, so if I put this as PRT or PRN, this PP gets cancelled, right? If if I put I as PRN, so this PP gets cancelled, and you have R n by n plus 1. So what is R here? R is your quarterly rate, so that will be 0.095 divided by 4 into n, number of years. So that was 5 years if I'm not wrong. Yeah, 5 years divided by n plus 1. So that will be 5 plus 1. Okay, so if you do that, this 4 gets cancelled, and what do you have is and 2 by 6 is 3. So basically you have 0.095 into 5 divided by 3, and that comes out to be 15.833. So let me just check what is the answer for this question. Yeah, 553.125 is correct. So okay, let me just check whether, I mean, these calculations give you the interest, effective interest rate as 533. So in percentages, it is 15.83% per annum. Okay, so if you look at the interest that they tell you is 9.5%, but what you actually end up paying at the end of your maturity is 15% per annum. Okay, so that's why the interest rates, and this applies for discount loan also. We'll see in some time. It's not only for add-on; it is also for discount. In discount, just the thing that changes is the way they calculate or give you the money. Okay. So let me just confirm whether I have calculated correctly. Yeah, I think this is fine, no? Like, mm, 1 second now, guys. Mm, yeah, so basically you pay the total interest as 35,625. What should be the correct value? Per loan term? Yeah, so there is one mistake in this calculation which we should rectify here. So it's not, because this it will not be divided by 4, this thing, right, by 4, because since I'm multiplying it by number of years, R should be per annum basis, right? So it will be 9.5, and if you calculate this, it comes out to be 6.33, or maybe I will write it as 0.633, something like this it comes out. But the thing is, this is for full loan term. Okay, so it is not per year. Okay, so this effective interest rate Okay, so this EIR per annum, if I want to calculate, I need to divide this 0.6333 by total maturity of the loan, which is 5 years, right? So if I do that, I get 0.12667. Okay, so basically it is 12.67 percentage per annum. Okay, and this is your nothing but interest rate actual. And if you now compare it with the uh, uh, stated is 9.5, so basically you end up paying more. Okay, so that is the logic behind this. Okay, so when you do these calculations, you get the by this formula you should get the number for the full term. So you have to calculate per year, right? So that's why you have to divide by the number of years that you apply. Okay, so this is how you should calculate these things. And similarly, there is type of loan which is called as discount loan. So here, as the name suggests, what they do is basically they calculate the whole interest at the start of your this thing only, uh, maturity period, and they subtract that much interest from the total amount and give you the little remaining amount, and then you are supposed to uh, pay the you know uh, this thing. Basically, they interest is, or the entire interest is deducted at the start, okay, of the loan period from principal amount, and borrower receives the difference. That is the difference here. Uh, and then whatever this PYT, I mean the thing is P naught is nothing but P minus PDN. Okay, so if it is simple interest rate scheme, so you will receive this much amount at the start. Okay, so this is the actual amount received by borrower at the start. Okay, but the PYT, or the periodic uh, or EMI or periodic scheme that you end up paying is on the total principal. Okay, here you don't use P naught. Here you use P, years or number of frequency of payments. Okay, so this is how they do it. Okay, so that is the only difference between this and add-on interest one. Okay. So let me just see if I can take one problem on this so that you understand what we do here. And there is one empirical relation also. I mean, there is this formula for effective interest rate, right? There is one empirical relation also which professor mentioned as a second method to calculate APR. That was K into 95n plus 9 by I and 12 and all those things. You can keep that in mind, but that is not required. I mean, if that is asked, you should. They will give you the formula in the question. They should actually. Anyway, so let's see the um, discounted loan if we have some problem on that. Yeah. Okay. So. Um, okay, we can take the same problem and let's see if we can solve it by discounted loan kind of thing. Okay, so same question. If we solve it, uh, okay, so let's see. Hmm, which was this? Mahesh, right? Mahesh follow-up question, no? Huh. So let's solve the same question using this thing, discounted loan method. Okay. So your P is also 75,000. Your R is 0.095 per annum. N is 5 years, but you are doing quarterly payments, right? So should this is per quarter, and this will be 20 quarters, right? So the same problem. So here again, the interest that you calculate is PRT or PRN. So 75,000 into whatever you take. If you take per annum basis, multiply by 5. If you take quarterly, multiply by quarterly rate. And this should come out approximately 35,625 rupees. Okay. So the initial amount that you get is nothing but P minus I. Okay. So 75,000 minus 35,625. Okay. And that is like 39,375 rupees. Okay, so when you take the loan from the bank, the actual loan is for 75,000, but they will give you only this much amount at the start if it is a discount loan. Okay, and the quarterly payments that you are supposed to do, the quarterly installments that you are supposed to do, they are calculated on the initial amount divided by n. Okay, so what is the initial principal? And you are doing it in 20 quarters, right? 5 years is 20 quarters. So basically that will be 3750 rupees. Okay, so now you understand the difference. In this add-on interest, you are paying about 5,531 rupees as the this thing, your quarterly payment. But since here they deducted your total interest initially only, you have to just pay the principal amount at the end. So that is why the quarterly installments are lower than the this thing. And now the question is, can we find the effective interest rate for this? Okay. So the next question is effective interest rate calculation, okay, per annum, let's say, so that we compare it with 9.5 number. So here, how do you calculate that? And the way to do here is, since it is, you get interest is discounted, right? I mean, the amount that you initially get is less than what it is significantly less than the borrowed amount, right? Initial borrowed amount. So here what you do is interest paid per year divided by P naught. Okay. So if you pay total interest of 35,625 for 5 years, right? So divide by 5. So that will be, you will be paying that much in 1 year interest. And then P naught is nothing but 39,375. Okay. So that comes out to be 7,125 divided by 39,375. Okay. If you do this, you will get around 0.181. Okay. So that means 18.1% per annum. Okay. So this is your I actual. Now you see this is significantly greater than the I stated, which is 9.5, right? Calculating these loans. And okay. Other way could be see here you don't need to use that formula, that 2ki by Pn plus 1, because here you actually receive, I mean, the interest that you pay is quite clear per year, and whatever initial amount that you receive is also clear. So no need to use that formula. Actually, you should not use that 2ki by P into n plus 1 formula for discount loans. Okay. The reason being, in add-on loans, interest is charged on the full principal. In discount loans, interest is deducted and the borrower repays full principal. That's right. Add-on loans, borrower gets full principal and repays principal plus interest. In discount loan, borrower receives less than the full principal and repays full principal only. Okay. So if you use that formula to calculate effective interest rate for discount loans, you will underestimate. Okay. So for our previous was 12.67%, right? And if you use that formula for discount rates, uh, you'll underestimate. You'll not get 18.1%. You'll get lesser answer, lesser annual interest rate. Okay, so don't go by that formula for discount loans. So you see, discount loans are worse than the add-on loans, and add-on loans are worse than the single payment loans. And this mortgage loans, they will come somewhere in between. Okay, so if you want to remember that way, you can remember that way also. Okay, so that is about different types. Then there was some discussion on the financial charge and average daily balance, etc. Those things you can look it up, because professor had done one calculation for daily balance in the account divided by the billing cycle, so that will give you average daily balance. So similar calculation. If you remember, like if you are SBI savings account holder, there was a period, I think during COVID time, when SBI charged some interest or some penalty when for those accounts uh, whose monthly balance was less than 5,000. Okay, it was only for I think 1 or 2 months. There was public outcry after that, but that is how they did. So you should. Uh, oh, 1 second. There will be one point here. Oh, sorry. Okay, so how do you calculate daily average balance and all those things? So you basically need to have a table as on uh, you know plus minus like entries. So plus is like the amount received in your account, minus is the payment made from your account, and based on that, whatever average balance you have, you multiply that with the number of days, I mean the daily balance, and for how many number of days it is there, and you take the cumulative sum divided by the total billing cycle or the number of days in a month. So those things are there. Then there was discussion on credit card and debit card limits, etc. So those are involved topics, not maybe for this class. But basically these are some important things, right? So the question is, if you apply for any credit card, uh, how much, or that the chance of default on your borrowed loans is minimal. So these are various kinds of questions that need to be answered. Um, but it's not, I think, for this class it's not that important of a topic, because it involves, nowadays it's very complicated, not that straightforward. Okay. So but anyway, you should know the credit limit and all those things. So basically, if you have credit card, you will always, I mean, by the time you use it for some time, you will know how it works. So basically, they work on your uh, ignorance or helplessness to pay back. So if you take some loan, and if you don't pay it on time, then that is where they make money. If you are an ideal customer, if you take the loan and pay the credit card EMIs on time, it's not good for the bank or the lender. Okay. So anyway, that's the different topic to discuss. But the thing is, you should always keep in mind there are two factors based on which they charge you the penalties or all those things. Is basically at what rate. So you should know, if you are late in doing the credit card payments, at what rate they will be charging you. It's usually very high, than 30% per annum, something like that. Okay. 2 to 3% for month they usually charge, not annum. Okay, for month. So that translates to 24 to 36% per annum. Okay. I mean, assuming simple interest, compounding is though more than that. And the time. So, like, if you are lagging on some credit card payments, try to pay them as early as possible, because it is, if it is compounded, penalty is compounded, then you will be screwed. So like that. Okay. So you should know all these things before you take the credit card. The trap that the salesman put is, basically they say that it's a zero annual fee and zero joining fee, convenience fee, all those things are there. So you should confirm those things, because nowadays there are many scams going on, where the representative of the credit card says that it's a zero annual joining fee, but when you join, actually they charge the fee. Okay, so all those things go on. So let's leave that. That's the real life. But in case of if, like, in the context of this course, you should know something like credit limit. So based on your income, uh, your occupation, your location, also nowadays your age, debts that you have, or existing EMIs that you have, they give you the credit limit accordingly. Okay. How do they do that? There are various methods or the formulations. Nowadays, this ML is also used to make such decisions. Not fully, but ML is also machine learning, basically is coming into picture here, because when you have large data sets, that's where you can train your models to certain better accuracies. Okay. So, and then there is a debt limit. Again, this CIBIL score, etc. These are nothing but some of the parameters that are used in making such decisions as to how much debt we can give you. Okay. So basically, if you have, let's say, salary of 50,000 per month, you will not get. I mean, ideally, they should not give you the loan which is 5 times of your salary, assuming that you don't have any other loan. Okay. So why? Because why, for some reason, if you lose your job, then you should not default on your loans, right? So otherwise, your collateral will be taken back. All those things may happen, which is not good for anybody. So they call this as debt payment by disposable income ratio. So that should be less than 0.2. Okay, so basically, whatever salary you have, you should not take the loan for more than 5 times of that amount. Okay, so like this is for from lender's point of view, but since like you can consider this as borrower's safety limit also. So if you have monthly salary of 1 lakh, you should not take the loan which will come out to be 5 lakhs per month. So that is like 60 lakhs per month. Okay, that is assuming you don't have any other loans, existing loans. If you have other loans, uh, that will be, the limit should be decreased accordingly. The ratio should be 0.2. Then there is something called as debt to equity. All those things are there. So that is basically how much debt you already have, and how much equity, etc., investments, etc., are there, and many other things are there. But these are some of the common things. Okay, so then there was introduction to the amortization, and that is the important topic. Okay, so amortization is nothing but this comes into picture when you take long-term debts, okay? Especially home loan, vehicle loan. Vehicle loan is not that long-term as compared to home loan, but still, I mean, like if it is of the order of 10 to 15 years, you just generally call them as amortized loans, but not necessarily. As I said, there are two parameters because initial principal is in your hand, how much loan you want, but the rate, interest rate that will be charged, as well as number of years that are charged, those things are not in your hand basically. I mean, the number of years you can choose, but interest rate is the lender's choice, right? Because they also have to take into consideration the cost of capital, because they also might have borrowed the money from some other lender, right? So it's like that. So if it's your own money that you are lending, that's another thing. But if you are lending from some institution like bank or some housing finance companies, then they are also borrowed that capital from somebody else, right? Some other major bank or other thing, big investor, something like that. So they also have to pay some interest on those amounts. So accordingly, they will fix their own interest rates. Okay. So those things are not in your hand. What are the things that in your hand when you take the long-term debts? Is basically how much debt you want. That depends on the application that you use it for, and collateral thing that you can give, and number of years that you think. Okay, so we usually, the longer the period, the more interest you pay, because we'll see there are different schemes for this, um, where you pay your loan. You know, but usually speaking, nowadays all the loans that are typically disbursed from the lenders, they they take your interest first. Okay, so when you take a loan, you have principal amount, which is the total amount minus down payment that you do at the start. They will charge some interest on it, right, depending on the interest rate and number of years, and they will first recover the interest. Okay, so if you are thinking that if you have taken loan for 15 years and you will later on pay it off in, let's say, 5 years only, so it's not like you will pay equal interest and equal principal amount during those initial 5 years. Okay, so initially they take more of the interest that you are supposed to pay at the end of 15 years, and then uh, once they recover the major chunk of your interest, then the principal goes down. Okay, so that is more or less everywhere followed. Okay, so we'll take some examples of this repayment of loan schemes. So there are some methods. Okay. So repayment of loan methods. Okay, so first is level method, okay, which is not usually followed, but it's since we are discussing, it should be discussed. So here what they do is basically whatever interest and principal is charged, they reduce both the quantities in the same proportion during the monthly uh, or these periodic payments. Okay. We usually take monthly because monthly payments are supposed to be the common time duration for these things, loan payment, etc. So monthly payment that you get at the end of, I mean, monthly payment that you're supposed to pay off let's call this as MP, will be nothing but P plus I by N. Okay, I can be calculated using simple interest or compound interest, whatever it is. Mostly it is compound interest, but let's leave that. And then this MP will be having two components. One will be the component responsible for interest payment, one component which is going towards the repayment of interest. Another one is going towards the repayment of the principal amount. Yeah, so this is called as monthly interest payment. This is called as monthly principal payment. Okay, so their summation would be your monthly payment. Okay, so this is they will whatever it is charged, they will take equally. So your interest and all those things are equally reduced. But usually this doesn't happen. This is mostly academic thing, or very rarely it will be used in some practical application. Okay. So we'll see. I mean, there is, you can take example on this, but the point is, this is not used usually. So we'll skip this part. Mostly we'll go to the one second. There is this rule of 78 next. So maybe we can take that. But before that, let me just check. Yeah. Okay, we can take one simple example where you have taken the loan of, let's say, 1000 rupees from a bank at the interest rate of, let's say, 12% per annum for the duration of 1 year. Okay, and then you need to calculate the monthly payment, okay, using this level method. This is a simple example that you should consider, because we'll see same example we can see going forward for another methods also. So here you need to first calculate the interest that you're supposed to pay. That should be PRN. So if you're paying it monthly, then you have to divide 12% by 12, but N will be multiplied by 12. So it's the same thing only, right? So this is 1000 into R is 0.12 and 1. So basically that will be 120 rupees, right? So you're supposed to pay interest of 120 rupees within a year for 1000 rupees principal. Okay, so MP will be, by this method, will be P plus I by N. Okay, so here N will be number of months, right? Because it is uh, monthly, so you should multiply by 12 here. Okay, so 1120 by 12. Okay, so that will be 1120 divided by 12, comes out to be 93.33 rupees per month. Okay, and out of this, what will be your MIP? So the monthly payment that you do, the fraction of it going towards the interest payment will be nothing but I by N, or 12N in this case, because N is we are taking in number of years. So that will be nothing but I by N, right? So I is 120 divided by 12. So basically 10 rupees every month that you are paying as from your installment. 10 rupees are going towards your this thing, interest repayment, and the remaining amount goes for the principal this thing. So that will be 83.33 rupees per month. Okay, so this is how you can use the level method, but as I said, it is not usually used. So what they use is there are other methods also, but there is famous method called as rule of 78 method. The 78 is not fixed number. Okay, it can be depending on number of years, it can be anything. Okay, so don't just stick to 78. It's just a method where you basically try to recover the interest initially, and principal is reduced first. No, principal is reduced after the interest, much of the interest is recovered. Okay, so in this method, interest recovery is front loaded. Okay, basically that means more interest is paid in the earlier months of the repayment schedule, and you know hmm, something which is happening here. Hmm, one second. Hmm, okay, so here one thing you should know is basically they have the 78 comes from the fact that you know if it is a 12-month loan, basically you are doing 1 plus 2 plus 3 up to 12. Okay, so you should remember this formula, which is sum of first capital N natural numbers starting from 1 is n into n plus 1 by 2. So that will be 12 into 13 by 2. So that will be 13 into 6. That is why 78 comes. Okay, so if it is a 24-month loan, the 78 number will change. It will be 24 into 25 by 2. So basically 25 by 12, 25 into 12. So that is 300. Okay, so like that. Okay, so uh, this is how it will go on. So there is one question. I think it was asked in previous year assignment. It's quite straightforward question, but we should know the formula. Okay. So what the question is, for a 4-year term loan, the denominator in the rule of 78 method would be. Okay, so this kind of question is quite straightforward, but you should know how to do this. So when you have 4 years, basically they correspond to 48 months. Okay, 12 into 4, right? And therefore the denominator will be equal to n into n plus 1 by 2. So 48 into 49 by 2. That is nothing but 24 into 49. Okay, so that comes out to be 1176. Okay, so this will be your final answer. Okay, so this is how these type of questions are asked. Or sometimes they ask you is fill in the blanks. Okay, so in rule of 78 method, interest portion blank and the principal portion blank throughout the maturity period. Okay, then there will be four options where you have increases, decreases, decreases, increases, both decreases, both increases. So such four options would be there. But as I told you, these are called as front-loaded interest recovery methods. So they will charge interest rate higher initially and it will decrease. Okay, so interest portion goes on decreasing and the principal portion goes on increasing as the or increases or decreases, whatever it is. Okay, and how do they do that? That is the next question. So basically, they use this formula where you have this thing, the factor. Okay, so whatever principal that you have and the total interest. So for example, you can take the same problem again, this one, this same problem we can continue so that you understand. So let's say same question, you have taken 1000 rupees loan at the rate of 12% per annum for 1 year. So if you want to solve this by rule of 78, what will be your MP and other things? Okay, so here you are using rule of 78 method. Okay, so here you will not have equal payments. Okay, here you will have, there will be equal payments, but you are not paying MIP and MPP equally. So that is the difference here. So MP will be nothing but basically your P plus I by N only. So nothing changes there. Okay, so that will be nothing but 1200. Oh no, 1120, because 120 is the interest rate. 1120 by 12. So we had calculated this as 93.33, right? But the thing is, out of this MP, MIP is calculated based on the factor which will be 12 by 78. Okay, so we start from, so basically, if you want to, so this will be your MIP for first month, and that will be 12 by 78 into P plus I, or your MP basically. Okay, so general formula for MIP for ith month will be, you have to start from last. Okay, so basically 78 will be there if it is a 1 year term, and you have to start from the last digit. Okay, so your sequence will be I going from 1 2 up to some k, right? So in case of 78, this k will be 12. Okay, so you start from k, which is the last index, into MP. Okay, so basically this will be your MIP, and MPP will be, you can have the general formula for it, but you know one second, there is yeah, MPP1 will be nothing but MP minus MIP1, so nothing is changing there. But if you do the calculations, it will come out to be 78 minus 12 by 78, right? One second. Interest is 192. Yeah, it is not MP here, it is just I. Now it is correct. Isn't it? Yeah, and this K will go from 12 11 up to 1. So basically if you have I as 1, K will be 12, like that. So what will this be for first year? For first month, you need to pay maximum interest. So that will be 120, right? Total interest is 120. So let's calculate the MIP1, and then now you have to calculate 12 into 120 divided by 78. So that comes out to be 18.46 rupees. Okay, I'm not writing rupees everywhere. And your MPP1, so that is contribution from your monthly payment going towards the MP minus MPI1. So that will be 93.33 minus 18.46. Okay. So 93.33 minus 18.46. Which comes out to be 75.53. Okay. So this is how you are supposed to do these calculations. So basically you can construct on table, and that will be easier. So how the table should be? So I will be your number of month, and then you construct something called as a MIP1 or MIPI. Then you'll have something called as MP will be same, right? Because you'll have same this thing. MP will be P plus I by N, right? So that will be same constant. So you calculate MIP for the given month, and you subtract MP minus MP minus MIP for getting MPP. Okay, so then you'll have 1 to up to, let's say, 12. Okay, and this will be same only, 93 point. But if you see, this will be decreasing. Okay, so MIP1 will be 12 by 78. No, so this was 18.46. But for next month will be 11 by 78. Okay, so 11 by 78 into 120, the total interest. 1 second. Mistake. All right, 11 by 78. Yeah, 16.92. Okay, so and so on and so forth. So if you take the third month, so or maybe the last month, which is the 12th month, okay, so it will be 1 by 78. Okay, so that comes out to be 1.54. So you see, the interest things interest contributions go down when the principal and the principal contributions go up. Okay, so for the first month it was 75.53, then 93.33 minus 16.92 for second month. That will give you 67.41. Okay, so these contributions will go up, and at the end of 12th month you will have to pay 91.79. Okay, so this is how this method works. Okay, so sometimes they could ask you the questions, what is MIP6? Okay, so this is basically the contribution that you give towards the interest recovery for 6 months. Okay, so for this problem it will come out to be see, I is 6, right? So basically you have to go back from 12, right? So 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, right? So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you have to be 7 by 78 into MP. Okay, so that was 7 by 78 into 93.33, right? So like that you have to do the calculations. So this factor will change, that's all. So you have to be carefully calculating this factor, and this will come out to be 8.38. Okay, so like that. And then they may ask you what is MPP6. So that will be 93.33 minus 8.38. Okay, so 93.33 minus 8.38. That comes out to be 84.95. Okay, so like that they will ask. Okay. I hope you understood what we are doing. Mm, okay. So then there was the condition for, I mean, you can do this, right? But the thing is, sometimes you want to prematurely close your loan because by God's grace or some fortunate event, you get the uh, more money back, and you don't want to carry this because the longer you carry the loan, the more interest you pay, right? So mm, in that case, there are two ways to calculate the balance due if you are using rule of 72 method. One is this rebate factor, etc., that comes into the picture, or other one is you just calculate the balance due. Okay. Okay. So for premature closing of loan, you can, because see what they do is when you sign the loans terms and conditions, there will be something called as prepayment or premature payment penalty. Okay, so because if you do premature payments or close the loans prematurely, the lender is losing on the interest, right, which they were supposed to get till the end of the loan maturity. So sometimes they put penalties. They will say that if you prematurely close the loan, let's say by if you take the loan, let's say for 12 months, and if you prematurely close it within 3 months, so we will charge some 5% penalty on the balance due. Okay, something like that. So these terms and conditions vary, but usually, even in FD. So if you do FD, let's say on SBI account, SBI savings account, if you do the FD and if you prematurely close the FD, so if you close it within the first 3 months of the duration, they charge the penalty. Okay, so they will give you the principal amount back, but they will charge some or deduct some penalty from it. So usually when you do FDs, you are supposed to keep them at least for 3 to 4 months, so that whatever penalty they charge, even including that penalty, you will at least recover your initial amount for which you did the FD. Okay, so I think these things you should know. So that's why it is said that it is not a good idea to break the FDs prematurely unless and until it's an emergency that you can't do anything. For loans also, it is not a good idea, or at least you should be aware of the terms when you are doing the premature closing. Okay, so in those cases, at least you should know the balance due. Okay, so one way to handle these type of premature closings is they will charge some penalty on the due balance. Okay, so you should know the balance due at the end of some time into your loan. Okay, so there is one method where you directly calculate balance due based on each individual amount, you know. And then there is something called as rebate factor, etc. So rebate factor is nothing but fraction of interest on the remaining payments. So we'll see that how to do that. But otherwise, if you don't know rebate factor, etc., the simplest thing that you could do is calculate the balance due. Okay, so there is a formula for that. So balance due, let's say at the end of some k period or something, will be nothing but p plus I. So initial principal plus total interest that you are supposed to pay minus interest paid so far minus payments, or you know what do you say, payments made so far towards the principal. Right. So basically, uh, whatever interest proportions you have paid and whatever principal amount returned, okay, so that needs to be subtracted, and that will be your balance due at that moment. Okay. So we can take one example. We can carry this example only. So let's say you have taken the loan for 12 months, right? So let's say you want to prematurely close it at after 3 months. Okay. So how do you do that? So you need to calculate how much did you pay till 3 months. Okay. So if we want to close the earlier loan by the end of 3 months. Okay. So in that case, how much did you pay at the end of 3 months is nothing but this P plus I, right? P was 1000, I is 120. That is total thing, right? So P is 1000, I is 120 total. But you need to calculate how much interest you paid for uh, 3 months, right? So interest paid for 3 months. Okay. So that will be nothing but 12 by 78 plus 11 by 78 plus 10 by 78 into 120, right? Because that is the formula, right? Because these are front-loaded interest recovery schemes. You will pay the interest first. Okay. So 12 plus 11 is 23 plus 10 is 33. So 33 into 120 divided by 78. So you paid 50.77 rupees. Okay. So interest is this much, and payments towards principal. Okay. So I mean, see here you can easily do because thing MP is same for all the months, right? So the simple formula would be P plus I minus uh, number of months into MP, right? But I'm doing this calculation just to let you know that, because we'll see the mortgage scheme next. There you will not have equal monthly payments. Okay, so there the payments keep on changing. So you should follow this general methodology for premature closing. That's why I'm doing it, because I also know the easier way to do this. Okay, so that will be nothing but your MPP1 plus MPP2 plus MPP3, right? So how much did you pay towards your interest for 3 months? Okay, so that will be 75.53 plus 76.41, and for third month it should be minus 78. Okay. So it should be 77.94. Okay. So you do 76.41 plus 70.53. So you have paid up to 229.88 rupees towards principal. Okay. So therefore, the balance due at the end of 3 months is equal to how much? It is P plus I, 1000 plus 120 minus interest payments 50.77 minus 229.88. Okay. So how much that is? 1200 minus 50.77 minus 229.88. Okay, so basically your balance due is 919.35. Okay. So now depending on the terms and conditions of your loan, if you want to close it, they will charge some penalty on this balance or some other things, penalties for next interest charge for next 3 months or something like that. So depending on that, you are supposed to close that. Okay. So as I said, I can, for rule of 78 method, you can just calculate balance due is nothing but balance due at the end of k months will be nothing but p plus I minus k into mp, right? But uh, you know this is for only this 78-month rule, because here the payment mp equal to the same for all the months, but mp will not be same for all installments in case of mortgage loans, etc., right? So that is called as amortized loans such as mortgages, etc. So in that case, use general formula for balance due calculations. Okay, and that general formula is given by this. Okay, so equation number 1. Okay, so that's why I given that. Otherwise, I also know that just multiply MP by number of months and you'll get the total amount paid till that month, and then subtract it from IP, I plus P. So that will be like that. Okay, but okay, and that will be also good. Okay, so now the thing is, there is something called as rebate factor in rule of 78 method. Okay, so this is not applied for other types of loan, but this rebate factor is applied for this thing. So this is like the approximate calculation. If you don't want to do the calculation for each and every month, what is the balance due, etc. Okay. So this is like a this thing. Okay, so it is, if you want to get the definition, it is proportion of the total interest that remains unearned. Okay, that remains unearned. Unearned means for the lender. So the lender was supposed to earn that much interest, but because you are prematurely closing the loan, this interest remains unearned when the is paid off early. Okay, and the formula, if this is RF is the acronym that we use for rebate factor, it is given as Sn minus k divided by Sn. Okay, which is nothing but, again, I mean, summation up to n natural numbers, so that will be n into n plus 1 by 2, and this is summation up to n minus k natural numbers, so this will be n minus k into n minus k plus 1 by 2. Okay, so 2 goes away and you just get n minus 1 n minus k plus 1 divided by n into n plus 1. Okay, so what is n? N is the total duration. Okay, so typically we take in months, and k is total number of months, I should write. That will make more sense. So you took the loan for n number of months, but you paid off the loan within number of months for early payoff. Okay, so this k will be less than n, right? So that's the only condition that it needs to satisfy. We took the loan for 12 months and we paid it off in the 3 months. Okay, so when n is 12 and k is 3, what is your rebate factor? It turns out to be n minus k, 12 minus 3, 12 minus 3 plus 1 divided by 12 into 12 plus 1. So that is 9 into 10 divided by 12 into 13. Okay, so 9 by 12 is 3 by 4. Right, so 30 by, 3 by 4 is again, so it is 3 here. This I can make 5, so this will be 2 into 13. Okay, so this is basically 15 by 39. Right, so that comes out to be around 577. Okay, so rebate factor is 577. Okay. Okay, so the unearned interest is nothing but RF into the total interest that you have, 120 rupees, right, as the total interest. Right, so into 120, if you do, you get 69.23. So this much interest you are not paying to the lender. Okay, if you close off the interest within if you close off your loan within 3 months. Okay, so we just checked that if you just go back and check here, so when we, how much interest did we pay for first 3 months is 50.77. So total we were supposed to pay 120 and we pay up to 50.77. So that means 69 rupees we have not paid. Okay, so maybe I can, so the thing is, you can, instead of doing this calculation, you'll see what. Okay, so from this star equation that we solved previously, you see the interest paid for first 3 months was 50.77, right? So the balance interest that comes out to be 120 minus 50.77, right? So if you do see, so this rebate factor method gives you the same answer. It's just that you don't have to do much calculations. Okay, so this is how you are supposed to calculate these things. Okay, and then you can do the rest calculations, right? This is unearned interest, so now you can do the rest of the calculations, right? That like balance due will be nothing but P plus I minus this thing, this unearned interest you have to subtract, right? This much. See, same thing, no? Yeah, so here the balance due will be slightly different because you have calculated the unearned interest, right? So you have to just add that to the uh, principal and subtract the made towards principal. Okay, so payments made towards the principal amount. Okay, so that way you can do the calculations. Okay. It is the same formula. I'm just combining I minus calculations made towards principal, calculations made towards interest as unearned interest. This is the new thing, but it's more or less 120 minus that. So basically, it's the same thing only if you pay attention to it. Okay. So now the thing is you need to calculate this carefully, and that will be nothing but you know how do you calculate that? For 3 months, how much contributions did you make towards the principal? Will be nothing but you know this k into this, right? I mean, for the first 3 months, so it will be nothing but k into mp for a month. You paid for first 3 months, right? So that is nothing but plus total interest minus unearned interest, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, so if you consider this as unearned interest, so you can calculate the payments made towards principal for first k months as k into mp. So I mean 3 into 93.33. So these were the payments that you made for first 3 months, right? So out of that, how much contribution did uh, how much contribution did go towards the principal payments? That will be that will be nothing but total minus interest calculations, right? So unearned interest is 69.23. Okay, so this is nothing but 50.77, and this will be 93.33 into 3. That comes out to be 2799.9 and minus 50.77. So that is 229.22. Okay, so is it equal to what we calculated earlier? 229.88, right? So 229.22. Okay, so more or less same only. Maybe some simple mistake I would have done somewhere. You can cross check that. But the thing is, balanced will should be same only, right? Whichever method you use. So that is the key criterion. So you can go by the rebate factor method also. You can go by the actual calculation. It's just that you should remember the formula for rebate factor. Okay, so sometimes they directly ask this for 1 mark. So you should know. Okay. So this was about rule of 78. Okay. And then the last topic was about these things where you have mortgage loans, etc. And so in many cases, uh, this is called as graduated mortgages. Okay. In case of some amortized loans, so like graduated mortgages, etc. Okay, so there you can use the general equation. But if your monthly payment is same, then you should do the calculations by making tables. That would be the easier way to do. Okay. So what I mean by that is, maybe we can take one example about it and we'll understand. Okay. So this is like the last topic of discussion for the day, because I mean, discuss the rebate factor, etc. And then the last concept that discussed was the mortgages. But there you have two cases. One is equal payment, or that we call as annuity, right? So mortgage loans with equal what you call equal annuity or equal monthly payments. Okay, monthly payments. So we have seen this, right? Schedule. Okay, so there is another scheme where you have mortgage loan with graduated payment series. So those things are there, but mostly this is the commonly used, okay? Because you must have seen, not you, if you have taken loan by yourself, you must have seen it yourself. Otherwise, if you are young, if you have not taken loan, but your parents must have, right, or somebody in your relatives. So in these cases, basically, we have seen this formula, right? The MP is nothing but the principal amount, or and we use this A by B, uh, comma I comma N, right? So sometimes we call this as current value into A by B, comma I comma N. So we have seen these things, right, previously, where we use some interest rate tables to calculate these things. And if it is not equal monthly payment, if it is a graduated payment mortgage series or something like that, so we use basically the formula of we have seen the one series, right, graduate this uniform payment series or geometric payment series. You should go back to the initial classes notes and revise those things. Okay, so uh, so this is for mortgage. But sometimes what happens, if you are operating some business, and if you anticipate that after certain time you need to have to make money for certain uh, big expenditure, it can be anything. So for that you need to set aside the fund. Then you have to decide how much monthly payments should I make to a fund which will contribute at the end of some years towards that payment. Okay, like if you have issued some bonds, or if you want to purchase some machinery for your plant in the future, something like that, that comes under the category of sinking funds. So the idea is same only. So mortgage loans is commonly used terminology, so we are using mortgage loans, but you can call this sinking fund also. It's only the thing is that the concept will change depending on what you want to do. Okay, so okay, and this sometimes what happens, when this n amount is very large, you may not have the interest rate tables for that. So in that case, you should know the formula for this is nothing but I by 1 minus 1 plus I power minus n. Okay, and you can further simplify this by doing some simple simplifications, and then it will come out to be minus 1. Okay, so nothing fancy, I'm just rearranging the terms. Okay, so the thing is, now you have to be very careful with the n. Okay, so if it is monthly schedule, n should be for 1 year, n will be 12, and whatever interest rate is charged for 1 year, you have to divide that by 12. Okay, so like that. So for example, you can take the same problem where your principal was 1,000, you have taken the loan of 1,000, interest rate is 12% per annum. So you need to find mortgage loan MP monthly payment for this scheme. Okay, this amortization scheme. Will come out to be see, you have to divide 0.12, which is your I, by 12. So this will be your per month rate, right? And n will be 12 because you are calculating for 1 year. So since we are talking about months, this will be 12 months. Okay, so essentially you have to use this formula to get the this thing. So this will be 1,000 into A by B. I will be 0.01 per month, and n will be 12, right? And then this is nothing but 1,000 into 0.01 divided by 1 minus 1.01 power minus 12. Okay, so let's do the calculation for this. So this is 1,000 into 0.01 divided by 1 minus 1.01 raised to minus 12. that comes out to be 88.85. Okay, so the total that you pay, total principal plus interest paid, will be 12 into 88.85, right? Because you are doing this for 12 months now. So if you multiply 12 into 88.85, it comes out to be 1066.2. So that means, at the end of the uh, maturity, you paid total interest of, that you paid is 66.2 rupees. Okay. If I'm not wrong. Right. So like that, you have to calculate those things. Maybe we'll take one more example. Uh, and yeah, before we take the example, you should remember one thing. So in this case also, you need to do the calculations for MIP and MPP, right? So in this case, if you remember in the class, sir has created one table. So like that you have to do, because here the thing is the interest will be charged on the balance due, okay, not the initial payment. Okay, so MIP, if you do the calculation of interest for first month, that will be 1000 into 0.01, right, into 1, basically that is 1 month. So that comes out to be 10 rupees, right? So, and this is the monthly thing. So MPP1 is nothing but 78.85. Okay, so initially you paid 10 rupees for interest and 78.8 for principal at the start of first month. Okay, so then this MIP, I mean, they calculate the balance due, okay, or the principal remaining to charge the next interest. Okay, so principal due will be nothing but 1000 minus 78.85, right? Because that much you paid towards the interest at the end of first year. So 78.85. So that means your principal that is still to be paid is 921.15. So when you calculate the MIP for second month, you have to then multiply by 0.01 into 1. Okay, 1 comes because 1 month. So 921.15 into 0.01. So that is 9.21, let's say. Okay, so that is your MIP2. So in that case, your MPP2 will be 88.85 minus 9.21. So you see now 79.64 interest will be deducted. Okay, so you have to do this way. So this is like a recurring correlation. Okay, so you have to keep subtracting this thing. So this will be 921.15 minus 79.64, and the third month will be interest will be calculated on this. Okay, so this is the difference between the add-on or discounted loans and this thing, this amortized loans with equal payment. So like this you have to carry on. Okay, so MIP3 will be this into 0.01, so 8.41 rupees basically. So here also it is interest is front loaded because they take more interest at the start, and then gradually they increase your principal payment towards principal. Okay, so like that. So we'll take some question on this and then we'll stop for the day. Okay. Okay, so sometimes what they will do is they will tell you that at the end of let's say 5 months, uh, uh, you know, uh, the principal amount due or the loan balance. They call this as loan balance also. Okay, so they don't usually call this as principal due, they call this as loan balance, but it's the same thing. Okay, so what they will do is they will give you loan balance at the end of some, let's say, 6 months, and then they will ask you that how much was MIP in that month or the next month, and how much is the MPP. So nothing, the same question, it's just different result they're asking, right? So you have to just calculate the MIP for that month using the balance into interest rate per month, and then whatever is your MP, because MP will be same for all the months, right? So subtract MP from MP, the MIP, you will get MPP. Okay, so those things are there. So we'll just do one simple calculation here, or one question we'll do. Okay, so you have taken the loan of let's say principal of 4 lakhs. Okay, and for 20 years, because this is a home loan at 6 compounded rate. Okay, so first you need to find the monthly payment will be how much if it is a equal payment mortgage loan. So we have to do the same calculation. So now here the thing is, this will be 20 into 12 months, right? So basically 240 months, and your interest rate will be 6% per annum, right? So it will be 0.5 per month, right? So your MP will be nothing but 4 lakhs into A by P. I is 0.5 into 240. Usually you'll not have interest rate tables for 240 numbers and all those things. So you basically have to multiply by this formula of I divided by 1 minus this thing power minus n. Okay, so in that case your EMI or monthly payment will be 2865.72 rupees. Okay, so this is first thing. Okay, and now part, which is quite straightforward, and then they may ask you, what is the contribution of proportion of interest paid off in the first month or 10th month or like that, with some additional information. Okay, so now the next question in the same question is current loan balance. Okay, so this is also type of question that they can ask is current loan balance is some 301903.98. Okay, so this much balance is still pending. They have not mentioned after how many months it is, but they have just mentioned that, let's say current loan balance is this, then months remaining. So if current balance is this, then months remaining until the loan is completely paid off. Okay, so from you have to calculate the amount, the number of months remaining, so that you can calculate the this thing, how much number of months it will take for clearance. Okay. So in this case, you have to turn the table. Okay. So the answer is given as see here they have given you the principal, and the A amount, right, annuity. So now you have to find the N, and the interest rate will be same only. So here you have to do it like this. Okay, so you have to multiply P by A formula, comma I, comma N, and that formula will be just the ulta of the this square bracket. It will be inverse. We have seen this previously, right? So whatever is the payment, and then you have monthly MP, and then this will be 1 minus 1.05 raised to minus n divided by 0.05. Okay, so if you do this calculation, one second. Oh, one mistake that I did, I think, is 6 by 12 is 0.05, 0.5 percentage. Okay, so that will be you know 0.005, 5% per month, right? So that will be 0.005, no? Because you have to divide 0.5 by 100. Okay, so 0.5 divided by 100, double zero will be there, no? So everywhere it should be 0.005. Yeah, 1 0 I left. Okay, so no issues. Everywhere it should be 0.005. Yeah, and then solve for n, and you should get n of 150 months. Okay, so after your principal comes out to be this, it will take next 150 months for the loan to be cleared off. So that means you are out of 240 months, you have already paid off for some 90 months. Okay, so this will be this amount is at the end of 90 months. Okay, so like that also you should calculate. Okay, so now the next part of the question, this is a 3-part question. So now this loan has to be paid off sooner. Okay, so if the loan is to be paid off in till 20 years. Okay, so in that case, what is the additional amount or additional monthly amount to be paid? Okay, so in this case, what they are asking is, if you do it in 20 years, you have to pay 2,865 rupees. Okay, but if I can pay more, then what should I do? Okay, so basically, here you need to turn the tables, right? And this you have to calculate and assume your loan balance is nothing but this 3 lakh 301903.98. Okay, so basically you don't want to put 150 months, you just want to pay off in 120 months. Okay, so in that case, here the thing is your n. Okay, so this will be your answer. Here the n is 10 years, right? So 10 into 12, 120 months. You want to pay off only in 120 months. So how much additional monthly payment you need to do? Okay, so nothing different here. The thing is, you just you need to add some something to your monthly payment MP, and the rate is still same, but now it's 120, right? So 0.005. Okay, so now you need to calculate x in this expression, and that will be the additional amount that you need to pay from for next 10 years starting from this 3 lakh balance. Okay, so that x should come out to be equal to 486.03. Okay, so like this they can frame any sort of question, but once you know the formulas, you can just juggle around. Okay, I can frame one more question in which I can ask you, let's say I prematurely close it in next 5 years and the penalty charge is some percentage or something like that. Then how much penalty or how much anything I can ask. So basically those variations are there. Okay, so with that we'll stop for the day and we'll meet in the next class. Okay, and we'll see the discuss the 7th week's concepts. Okay, so